Howdy folks, this is another Dragalia Lost video. Yes, I know the game is ending, but I still love the game. I'm still playing it. I'll play it until I literally can't play it. The last Gala banner ended, last new banner, and I came off pretty good. I got Bonforged, Uden, and Zethia fairly early on. And I love them. They're so powerful. But I sparked twice. I got a few characters I didn't have. Yes, I spent money. I spent $120, and then I had a bunch of Wormite from Adventure Stories and Dragon Stories and Castle Stories and Event Compendium. So I had a lot of free-to-play resources going into it, and that's why I was able to spark twice. And yes, I know spending money on a game that's ending service is questionable, but I don't mind. I really some of those characters. I'd still like Humanoid Mercury. I'm sad we never got Humanoid Cat She. That would have been pretty cool in my book. But oh well. Maybe if they ever revive it. But I sparked for Gala, Knot, and Shell. It's between Knot, Xena, Shell, and Mim, because I already had Gala Zethia. I got Gala Zethia when she was released. So I didn't need Gala Zethia. And I already had Bonforged Zethia and Bonforged going into Spark as well. So my goal for the game now is to herd as much playthrough of the Kaleidoscape as I can. Game finally ends. For background videos, I think that would be cool. I love the Kaleidoscape. The Kaleidoscape is awesome. But it does suffer from some of the same problems that Dragalia Lost as a whole suffered. Because while I love the game, it's certainly far from perfect. It's got its problems. The biggest problem, right off the bat, is the fact that it's a mobile game. When I think of a mobile game, I think of coming home at the end of the day from work, and I'm tired, and I want to sit in front of the television and veg out a bit, and just play something simple. I watch Food Network or HGTV, something like that. And that's what I generally do with mobile games. Dragalia Lost, it fight bosses, run through dungeons. That's awesome. I love games like that. On a phone or an iPhone? No. This is one of the primary reasons why so many people have been clamoring since the game's release for a Switch of the game. A Switch version. Because the gameplay in Dragalia Lost is innately tied to what you would expect from a console game. The gameplay is most suitable for consoles. But for some reason, They made it a mobile game. I Don't ask me. I think they did an excellent job for the platform. It should have been on the Switch from the start. It should have. That said, there is hope. It is a Nintendo game. It is a Cygames game. Both companies are very big, a lot of games, and they could certainly make a new Dragalia Lost in the future. Whether they will or not, I don't have any. One of the primary reasons Dragalia Lost down this path. Writing was on the wall a long time ago. Specifically, and not so much in sales. Sales are important, yes, but the writing was on the wall with massive success of Animal Crossing Horizons on the Switch. And don't get me wrong, I love Animal Crossing. I'm not blaming Animal Crossing at all. It deserved that success. But because of its success, Nintendo saw that they could do very well on their own platform. They didn't necessarily need to branch out to. And as a lot of people have pointed out on forums and whatnot, the mobile market is actually saturated, overly saturated. And there are a lot of heavy hitters. Genshin Impact and Fate Grand Order being some of the heaviest. And it was very difficult for a game like Dragalia Lost to compete in a market like that without extreme marketing. And Nintendo could have done that, but there was also apparently some drama from long before I started. I don't know the details. Apparently, a director for Dragalia Lost insulted Fate Grand Order, made fans in Japan upset, and then there was some kind of lawsuit that Nintendo engaged in with another company. I believe they won that. I don't. I've been meaning to look into some of this, but I've been. That said, again, Dragalia Lost should always have been on the Switch, regardless of the heck. If it had been on the Switch from the start, it wouldn't have been competing with Fate Grand, and maybe the first director would have insulted Fate Grand. Subsequently, the fans, and made people upset, and the game would have done better. But I don't know. I don't know. But the game, as some people have pointed out, is very grindy. You have to engage in a very serious grind to get to the end game, and it takes a while. It's taken me months, and I can do expert sinister domain, but I haven't done a lot of that. Had I paid money, I would be able to, but I just couldn't afford a ton any of my games this past year. I spent what I could. I did spend monthly. I didn't spend tons of dollars a month. I just couldn't. I've never been a whale first place, and I don't think I'll ever be. Although I may whale on occasion in heroes, but the while the game was grindy and you had mechanics such as Curse of Nihility to apparently buff or debuff extremely powerful free-to-play units such as Karina. That was unnecessary too, because if you're doing a mobile game, you want the players to be able to play as their characters. That's just common sense, because that's what we want. And if Arena is super powerful, don't debuff her. Don't get rid of that power. Something different with her. They made Opera Karina. I love Opera. Super. But Curse of Nihility did get rid of a lot of viability for a lot of characters and just completely delete usefulness of certain skills and abilities. And that's a turn. You don't have that problem in the Kaleidoscape, which is why I've come to prefer the Kaleidoscape. There's so much they could have gone about different. That Curse of Nihility wouldn't have been such a problem on a Switch game, because they would have gone about it differently by necessity. A console game is made with different intentions. A mobile game. Mobile game is looking for monthly revenue. A console game is looking for upfront revenue, generally shortly after on release or shortly after, and then it wants to keep players entertained by providing strong gameplay and replayability. Dragalia Lost for Switch would have a lot of both of those. Would have a lot of replayability. And it wouldn't require monthly development. After its release. Apart from DLC, of course. But there's just so much they could have done different that they did. Nintendo, after massive success, I think I mentioned this in Rainbow. Forgive me. Nintendo, after the massive success of Animal Crossing, realized they lost interest in their mobile games, and but they saw a greater income elsewhere, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But I do remember, and I wasn't playing Dragalia Lost at the time, I do remember seeing that news and thinking this doesn't bode well for Dragalia Lost because it's brand new IP. I'd been aware of it here and there I'd been playing Fire Emblem Heroes primarily and little else. I didn't want to take on another gacha because of the monetary expenses required. But I got to doing a little bit better financially, and I was pretty curious. I was curious about Dragalia Lost. The video that made me decide to play it was, and I don't remember, probably the official Nintendo YouTube trailer, Humanoid Mercury, which I still don't, which is sad. I love Mercury. But oh well. I will roll a bit on banners, maybe, that are currently going. I can't afford to spend any more money at the moment. I probably won't spend any more at all in the game. But unless they have a dream summon, in which case I'll scrounge something up. Well, I could afford to spend it. But unless it's a dream summon, I won't. But I picked up the game as a result of that, and I played it for a little bit, and I got hooked. The fact that it was a Nintendo game was a big selling. Longtime Nintendo fan. I have a lot of respect for Nintendo games. Nintendo as a company is a different story, but they're just like any other corp. But I hope they do something with the game in the future. I kind of feel like they won't. Nintendo tends to take a long time, sequels of anything, additional entries, which is fine. The development process takes a while. It's natural. Hopefully they just put this game on maintenance mode. Maybe that's a lot of hopium or copium, whichever you prefer. But just see what happens. At any rate, I have rambled on enough, and I appreciate listening if you did, and have a good day.